Let's tie this olive electric caddis. First of all, let's talk about some parts. You got a bead head, you got a flash back over the top, you got a copper ribbing, and you can't see it too well, but you got two different colors of dubbing here that make up the body here. So let's tie this. This is a small one, so it's going to test your ability to hold stuff. I'm going to start with the small hook here. I'm going to do this a little off camera, but these beads there's one hole through them, but there's two different sizes if you look closely as far as the holes. So I'm going to put the hook first. I'm going to start it through the smaller end. And what that does is it puts the small end and it locks it in so it doesn't fall off the front of the bead or front of the hook. But it also has a larger side in the back to kind of help hide the knot at the end of the fly and stuff. So let me get this locked into the jaws here. And there's the bead. Now we're going to start our thread. You just start your thread like normal. I'm going to come right back behind the bead. Doesn't necessarily matter on this fly because you're going to cover up a lot of these wrappings. Some flies it matters how many wrappings you have and everything. This one not so much because you're going to just cover it up in a minute. So then you're going to snip off that thread. Okay. Now first thing we want to do is we want to get some of that copper wire, and we're going to tie that in. Now this is typically fished under the surface, of course, so I'm going to put the wire pretty much right back by the bead. It's not going to give it much weight, but you kind of want a little bit of weight in there to help sink it down. That's what the bead head's going to do too. Now in this case, I'm going to wrap this all the way back until it starts going down the bend a little bit. Come back up. And you're going to take your flash back. That's that little plastic piece you got here. It's kind of shiny. Now, sometimes I like to take this and just snip a point into the front of it. So take your scissors and just kind of do a little point. That might just help reduce some of the bulk on the tie down point. I'm going to tie it kind of on the side here first, toward the side closest to me, then roll it over towards the top to seat it on top of the hook. Give it a couple of wraps back to about the same spot as the copper wire. I'm going to come forward a little bit. Next we're going to add the dubbing. So first we're going to add the lighter dubbing. So we'll take a pinch of that. Now this stuff, you don't want to take too much. This is a real tiny hook, and this stuff is going to bulk up a little bit. What I like to do is wet my fingers just with my tongue a little bit. That'll just help you get a little bit of grip on this. This is a rabbit fur, I believe, here. So you're going to twist this on. I'm going to get it kind of tight. The tighter you get it, the more it's going to keep shape with the hook. And you can always pick this stuff out if you want it more buggy looking. So with that, you can see how I've tightened that up there. Now I'm going to bring it back. I'm going to wrap to the back of the hook again, just until the dubbing, because there's a little thread right there before I got to the dubbing. Now I'm going to wrap that forward, creating that body. When I get to about here, you can see I'm leaving a little bit of room before that bead. I'm just going to strip off some of that hair now. Got a little more than I need there, and that's fine. Okay, and there's a little tiny space behind that bead where I'm going to come in with this other dubbing, the darker dubbing. And in this case, I'm going to take a smaller pinch. This has got a little bit of flash in it. I like that. Same thing, I'm going to kind of wet my fingers a little here and just make a little dubbing yarn, basically. Twist it on until it looks like yarn. Get it nice and tight. If you start with it tight, you can always pick it out. So, we're going to wrap that on here, right behind that bead. I got a little extra on that too, so peel that off. As you peel it off, some of these pieces might stay a little longer, so try to twist them on again. You wet those fingers and get them on. Tighten that up, peel it back just a little bit. Okay. Next thing we're going to do is we're going to pull forward that flashback. Pull that across the top. Hold that in place. Just going to do 2 wraps and gently pull it towards the front. Make sure it's tight across the back there. Then another wrap or two. And come in with your scissors and get that right down at the bottom. And now you've got the copper wire left. And you're going to make some ribs with this. So I'm going to kind of pull it tight up the back there. Start. Make sure you miss the hook as you come around on the bottom. There's two. These little hooks, you can get probably about 4 passes with this ribbing. I think that was 4. Now I'm going to come over here and just right behind that bead head, I'm just going to stack a couple of them real quick. If you take the wire around your thread like that a little bit, and then wrap your thread once or twice. And then with this wire, it's pretty thin. You can usually just kind of twist it. It slips through your fingers a little bit, so I'm going to twist around my finger. And then the rest just kind of pops off. Just give it a few wraps there. Now in this case, you might want to take a little bit of super glue, put it on the back of your thread there. I'm going to skip that step for the moment here. Take the whip finisher. These are difficult at first, but let's see if we can kind of show you this. If you capture the thread here, wrap around the back, come over here, and then just bring that over the top, you can do the whip finish on these. Oh, that fell off. So let me try that again. I like to usually do a whip finish or 2 just to get that kind of locked in. So now if you're finding that it's slipping like mine just did, you might want to leave a little bit more space or a little less stubbing behind that bead head so this whip finish goes down a little bit more. Mine I think was bulked up enough that it was coming up, the whip finish was coming up too high behind the bead and slipping over the top. So that might be something to keep an eye on. Then go ahead with your scissors and snip that off. Now if you look at that, you can see that's a pretty good tight little caddis there. What you can do if you'd like it a little bit more buggy, you can even do this on the stream if you want. You don't have to do this while you're tying. You come in with your bodkin, your little pin, and you can just kind of start picking those fibers out until it starts looking as buggy as you want it to be. So you can just pick those out and kind of fluff it up a little bit. Got a little long one like that, you just kind of tug on it, should come out. You can get your scissors out if you need to. You can kind of just play with that until it looks the way you want it. And that's the olive electric caddis.